Welcome, everybody. We're going to get started with head coach Jay Johnson. First question will go to Sean Fagan, Daily Wildcat.
Hey, Coach. So after you had won the Tucson Regional, you had talked about how you were going to be able to watch the game against Ole Miss and Southern Miss. So I'm wondering, now that Ole Miss will be the opponent you're facing, what was it you saw from that game that perhaps you took note of, or is something that Ole Miss is really good at that you saw?
Yeah, we've done a lot more preparation since then. That was obviously a great ball game. Tip my hat to Southern Miss. They competed extremely hard, and that was a hard-fought regional final. As when you get to the Monday of a regional final, that's how those things typically go. Initial impressions, they have a good lineup. They hit for power. They hit mistakes well. They're balanced at the plate, on the mound. Impressive competitiveness of the pitching staff. They obviously brought a couple of starters back on Monday and utilized those guys to withstand, Southern Miss's attack. The atmosphere, the home atmosphere there at Ole Miss jumps out at you a little bit. But then really kind of went into a different mode, going back and watching a lot of video throughout the week of previous games in that tournament, SEC tournament, and series throughout the year. So we feel like we've learned a lot in the last week, and going into the season, it's a talented team that can contend for a national championship, and I really believe two of the best teams in college baseball are on this field this weekend.
And then last question for you, Coach. So your team clearly rolled through the Tucson Regional, but this will be the first Super Regional as well for the team since 2016. So I'm wondering, as a coach, is there any way that you perhaps prep your guys differently, seeing as how none of them have played in this Super Regional for Arizona, or do you just trust that they'll go out there and get it done as they have previously throughout the season?
Yeah, relative to the preparation, I think this team's exceeded expectations relative to preparation, meaning it's been elite, and they have the blueprint of what it takes to prepare to play well in any kind of baseball game. And I've said this time and time again, that the things that have made us successful throughout the year, whether it was the Frisco Classic, being the Pac-12 champions, winning, 20 of our last 24 games, those are the same things that are going to make us successful this weekend. I think this team has the maturity to understand that and do a really good job to have the self-discipline to focus on the right things. So that's really where we've put our mindset, and I have complete trust in them to continue to do that.
Next question, Michael Lev, Arizona Daily Star.
Jay, you said at one point this season that you would trust Garrett Irvin with your life. What about his makeup would lead you to say something like that?
Just a winner. If there's not a lot of adjectives other than winner and competitor that I hold in higher regard. And, he's a great kid off the field, respected and loved by his teammates. He's got a great personality. And then when he gets on the mound, he's a different dude. And, the stuff is the stuff, but the things that make him great are that competitive winning attitude, and it shines through in how he pitches.
Do you know when the guys started calling him Gary?
No, I don't.
Did you know what you were starting when you put that out there on Twitter the other night?
Absolutely not.
Next question, Brian Peterson, Arizona Desert Storm.
We're expecting temperatures 105 plus for the weekend, a little bit less than that at game time. But how are you expecting the heat to have an impact at all in these games this weekend?
We played 3 night games last weekend, and I don't know the temperature difference between 5 days ago and this weekend. I don't know what the temperature was, but it didn't really seem to be a factor last weekend, and we didn't play any day games. We're essentially playing at the same time that we were playing. I think, we're used to it relative to being in this climate. It's super regionals, and it's exciting baseball, and our team is ready to go. So I don't think it's going to have as big an impact as it might, on the periphery, or, I don't think I have thought about that a whole lot. I mean, we've instructed the players to do the things that they need to do to protect themselves relative to rest, hydration, controlling their body temperature, those kinds of things that can help them perform well. But other than that, I haven't really thought a whole lot more about it.
Will most of the pregame activity be in the hitting center, or will you be doing a mix of on-field and in
Yeah, I mean, we're going to take infield, outfield for sure, outside, so it'll be a mix of both.
Thank you.
Next question, Parrish Alford, Northeast Mississippi Daily Journal.
Hey, Coach, you mentioned studying up on Ole Miss. What specifically have you seen in Doug McCasey, and what allows him to be effective in your mind?
Yeah, great competitor. Earlier in the year, I had some time and had ESPNU on and got to watch a little bit of their own TV show they have this season, and there was a special on Doug, and he's obviously a great competitor. Loves to pitch with intent. I see a lot of similarities in personality and pitchability with him and Garrett Irvin, and he's just a good competitor. And then kind of studying his starts, he just kind of finds a way to get outs. Has great pitchability. Locates his fastball, good breaking ball, and has some deception to his delivery. And it's easy to see why he's a great pitcher, and will be a pro pitcher.
High Corbett being a larger park than a lot of places, do you see teams come in and need a little bit of time to adjust to that or change an approach? What do you see from them?
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about Ole Miss here, and good players, players that are not, they're talented. So I don't anticipate them having a problem with it whatsoever. At times does it serve as a home field advantage for sure, but when you get to this point in the season, whether we were going to play Ole Miss or Southern Miss, I don't think that's much of a big deal at this point in time.
Thank you.
Next question, Greg Hansen, Arizona Daily Star.
Jay, did you get to watch, did you have a chance to watch much of that ESPN special on Ole Miss?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Coach Bianco is someone I've kind of looked up to from afar for a long time. I respect how they work, they recruit. Mike Clement is one of the hardest working guys in college baseball. They recruit coast to coast. They have a couple California players, Derek Diamond and Jacob Gonzalez, who we were interested in. They got a great product to sell there with the fan atmosphere, the facilities, and they're a program I've looked at and tried to take some things that they do well in terms of promoting their program to impact recruiting, and brought some of those things to Arizona. So and then just being familiar with them in 2020, I felt like we had a team that could contend to go to Omaha before COVID. Had some really good wins on the schedule, and you start looking at who the other teams were like that. Florida, Ole Miss are two that come to mind. I know a few years ago they had the #1 recruiting class in the country. I'm pretty sure that's the guys that are in their third year, and we were number 3. And both of those groups have really panned out well for both programs.
Is that basically your perception of the entire SEC in baseball?
I don't spend much time looking at all of them just because we don't cross over very much. Their availability, because the TV show, and like I said, I respect Coach Bianco, respect Mike, and the job that they've done there. 20 years ago, I don't know that you heard a whole lot about Ole Miss baseball, but they seem to be in the super regionals a lot. This particular year, there's a couple teams that seem to be on TV a lot, casually watching them, while I'm looking at video of our next opponent and have a college baseball game on, whether it be in there playing LSU or Alabama or the SEC tournament. So it's kind of interesting that we ended up meeting up, because I feel like I knew a little bit more about their team just because they have a lot of exposure on their team.
Next question, Alec White, Arizona Daily Star.
Yeah, Coach, you had well over 5,000 in attendance, kind of the weekend average. There was some good regional attendance elsewhere. But just in Tucson specifically, can you tell that the appetite for college baseball has grown since you've got here?
I really believe so. And I think, when I came here, I remember the first day saying that we would play a brand of baseball that I felt like this community could really get behind in terms of the energy, the enthusiasm, the toughness. And I really believe that we've delivered on that, and we've really delivered on that on our home field. And we want this weekend to be no different in terms of, I think this is a team you can really get behind. When you look at the character of the players, the work ethic of the players, their commitment to winning, and our commitment as a program to make this community proud of them.
And then the bottom of the order came through during the regional weekend. Do you think the middle of the order needs to have a bigger impact this weekend?
We're a team lineup. And I mean that in every sense of the word. And everybody has a job, but that job changes based on the inning, the score, where they hit in that particular inning. And haven't really thought much about it. You know, whenever we have a player that we want to improve what they're doing, we go to work on it. And this week was no different. You know, I think when you look at a stat sheet, you can be deceived out of what actually happened. And you're facing a quality pitcher like McGreevy, for instance, last Saturday night. Like, there might not have been a big hit total out of, you know, we'll just call it 3, 4, 5, but the amount of pitches that those guys saw, the hard contact they had without getting hits, the extending the at-bats, the work that it took, you know, got him out of the game early and allowed us to get to the point where we could put up a 2-run inning late in the game and separate. So I look at those kinds of things and keep it day to day. So I feel like they'll do maybe a little bit better and we'll be in the right space to do better. But I feel like everybody contributed. It just said a little bit different things on the stat sheet. And I think I could be wrong about this, but somebody showed me the all-tournament team, and we had 7 of the 9 spots were Arizona guys. You know, so that's almost the entire lineup. And then, you know, we only had a 5-run game in the championship game, yet we were 10 for 32, which is hitting over 300 with 5 walks, which is pushing it on base to 400. So I look a little bit deeper than, you know, this guy went, you know, 2 for 10 or 3 for 11 or something like that.
We have time for one more question for Coach. We'll go back to Michael Lev.
Yeah, you mentioned that you didn't think the weather would be much of a factor. We have talked a little bit, though, about Daniel maybe, you know, battling through some fatigue toward the end of the season. Maybe that also applies to Jacob a little bit because he's a true freshman and has never played this many games. Do you do anything to manage those guys a little bit differently at this point?
Good communication. You know, I'll give you an example. It's like I had a text message at 7:37 a.m. on Monday morning after winning on Sunday night from Jacob Berry saying, "Can we hit?" So, I think they're good. I think they're ready to roll.
You didn't use Quinn Flanagan or Austin Smith this past weekend. Those are a couple guys among several on your pitching staff who could pitch 1 inning, or they could pitch maybe 4 or 5 innings. How does that benefit you to have those types of options?
It benefits a lot. I said this at I believe after the game on Sunday night. I mean, we won a regional in 3 games and didn't use, in my opinion, 2 of our better pitchers. And obviously we were going for it with the matchups and the relief once we got to that 4-1 lead in the 7th inning on Saturday night. But I felt great about where we would have been going into Sunday, you know, because of those 2 guys and the potential to bring a couple other guys back that had low pitch count numbers. So, you know, I think you'll see those guys in some capacity here this weekend and hopefully moving forward.
Mm-hmm. Kobe has batted everywhere in the lineup except for cleanup this year. What is it about his skill set that enables you to move him up and down as needed?
Just understanding of what the game calls for and what type of at bat to take, the maturity, the consistency and quality at bats, and has really executed in whichever role he has been put in. You know, I've mentioned it before. You know, we put a lot of work in on the offensive side of the ball, the types of at-bats that we want to take, and nobody exhibits that as well as he does. You know, I'd put him and Dante as tied for first on that. And, you know, I think as you talk to those guys throughout the season, a lot of the things you hear me say, you'll hear them say. And a lot of confidence in those guys, and they've had great seasons, and I think we'll continue to do well going forward.
So one last thing for you real quick. How do you assess Kobe's defensive play this season?
Well, I feel like big reason we won the game on Sunday night was because of how he played defense, handled the ball, turned a big double play in the first inning, you know, and made some plays late in that game, which kept us in a good spot. And so I think he's done a great job. I think we talked about giving him one task, one role, which was second base, and called a summer coach in June last year and said, hey, as much as you can, just leave him there because this is what I'm thinking and this is what we're going to do. He's put in a ton of work. His athleticism is great, his good range, and has done a really good job for us.
Great. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, guys.
All right, up next we have Kobe Kato. Questions for Kobe, please raise your hand. First question, Michael Lev, Arizona Daily Star.
Hey there, Kobe. The first thing I wanted to ask you about is the last play of the game the other day. Did that ball take kind of a left turn before it got to you?
Yeah, it kind of went off of Vince's glove and kicked to my left a little bit, but it wasn't anything too drastic to change what the play was.
Sure. Were you nervous in that situation, kind of knowing that, you're 1 out away from clinching the regional?
No, not really. I mean, the whole game, a lot of us, mostly the whole team, we were just staying within ourselves. Nothing was really too big for us. We were just staying in the moment and just playing our type of baseball. And when plays like that happen, you just react and stick within yourself, and that's all you can really do.
Sure. You've played second base the whole season this year, one position as opposed to moving around the diamond earlier in your career here. How would you assess your defensive performance this season?
I mean, I always feel like there's room for improvement. I feel like I could always take one more step in getting better at the position I'm in right now. But as of now, I'm just going to do what I need to do to help the team win. And whenever there's time to work on something or improve on a skill set, that's what I'm going to do.
Next question, Alec White, Arizona Daily Star.
Hey, Kobe, you're one of the few Hawaiian-born players still left in this tournament. How big of a deal was that to you?
It's great. I mean, it's a small island, and it also makes the amount of athletes coming out of Hawaii that much smaller. So just being able to represent my hometown and the people that are from Hawaii really mean a lot. I mean, there's some stars hidden in those locations, and just being able to be out there and on a stage this big has really been special to me.
Do you know any of the other players in college that are from Hawaii that play, and do you keep in touch with any of those guys?
Yeah, I have a lot of friends. Most of them are on the West Coast. We keep in touch all the time. I mean, just running into each other. Whenever we're in town, we like to say what's up and just keeping in touch and keeping up with stats, just reaching out saying, hey, I saw what you did the other week. Keep it up. It's a close-knit group, and everyone that's coming in and out of Hawaii. So it's basically a friendship and a family that is closer than you would think.
Next question, Parrish Alford.
Hey, Kobe, I'm wondering if you've had a chance to look up or hear a little bit about Doug McCasey, Ole Miss's left-handed starter.
I mean, we've got a little bit of a scouting report. It's just sticking to our plan. He's a lefty that likes to work with good tempo. He likes to work both sides of the plate, mix in his slider, and he can throw secondary for strikes. But sticking with our plan of staying within ourselves, getting in the ground, and seeing the ball as early as possible to take away deception is what we've been doing the whole year, and that's what we're going to try and continue to do this weekend.
With High Corbett being a larger park than a lot of places, do you see teams needing a little time to adjust when they come and play there for the first time?
Good teams are going to figure it out. Good hitting teams are going to be able to put barrel on the ball, and that's really all you can do. This park does play differently, but home field advantage is something that we're shooting for, and it's really good to be here. But it's still the game of baseball, and still that bat you have to take and the defense you have to play. Just a little larger park means you got to cover more ground, and you also have to control the ball flight a little bit.
Thank you.
Next question, Michael Lev.
Speaking of Hawaii, it's not easy to get from there to here. Have you been able to have family out at the ballpark to watch you play during the postseason?
Yeah, actually, they've been coming out the past few weekends to come out and support me and the rest of the team. They love coming out and watching games and hanging out with all the parents and just being away from home for a little bit. They get to call it vacation, but they're watching baseball. But they try to come out whenever they can. It is tough for them, so they have to space out their trips. But I guess they saved up enough to come out for extended time these past few weeks.
Who has come out, and what does it mean to you that they've been able to do that?
My mom and my dad have been out here the last 2 weeks, and my mom's sister. They've been coming at times when they can, when it fits their schedule. But it means a lot, just being able to see the commitment from them and being able to make time for me, even though it's such a time commitment and a travel commitment to come out here. It's really special.
You've hit everywhere in the lineup this year except for cleanup. Do you change your approach at all if you're batting second or fifth, or if there's no one on base or someone on base?
The position in the lineup doesn't really matter. It's about what that bat is supposed to do for that particular spot, that moment, that inning. It can change 1 through 9 no matter who's hitting. The situation's always going to be what the situation is when you're at the plate. So just being able to take your quality at bat while being present in that particular scenario is what I'm trying to do.
When did you guys start calling Garrett Irvin Gary?
I mean, I think I only know him by Gary. You barely hear anyone call him Garrett, so that's all I got.
What was it like when that hashtag just sort of took off after the game Saturday night?
It was funny. We kind of all thought it was a joke, and we just kept going with it and just had a good laugh about it.
Are there any more questions for Kobe? All right, thank you, Kobe. All right, finally for Arizona, we have Dante Williams. Questions for Dante, please raise your hand. First question, Michael Lev, Arizona Daily Star.
Did you ever consider an SEC school when you were coming out of high school?
I can't remember, honestly. I just wanted to play baseball at a winning program. So, I'm glad I landed here and I finally get to take up that dream. So, I'm very blessed and proud to be in this situation along with my teammates. So, yeah.
Sure. I know that being in a super regional in and of itself is extremely exciting. I also know that a lot of the fans are really excited about like a Pac-12 versus SEC matchup. Do you find that to be like a little more fun and exciting?
Yeah, it's two different parts of the country. I know the outsiders look on, Pac-12 baseball versus SEC, ACC baseball and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, it's baseball. You have a couple friends on those teams across the country, so it's always good to see the faces that you've grown up playing with and stuff like that. But it's as competitive as it gets. So I'm excited for it.
Sure. How long would you say that you guys celebrated winning the regional before you kind of flipped the page and looked forward to what was next?
That we got that Sunday, and then we had Monday off, I think, and then we back to work. It was just a quick turnaround, make the most of it that day. So we turn around and get back to work that Monday or Tuesday.
Next question, Brian Peterson, Arizona Desert Swarm.
Dante, there's probably no one else who's played the outfield at High Corbett on this team more than you have. Being as large of an outfield as is, do you ever notice opposing outfielders needing a little extra, maybe a few innings to figure out the dimensions and how to play a fly ball or anything like that? And can that be used to your advantage?
I think Kobe mentioned something like this. Good players and good teams figure out, how to play outfield, how to play the field. So I think when it comes to, adjusting to fields, whether you're away or home, it's just a natural thing as you get ready to compete. You just go out there and play. I don't think that really is a factor. Like if you're a good team, you figure it out.
Well, on this day, when you would be on the road, what would you do when you're out in the field to kind of get yourself acclimated with the dimensions?
You just ground balls. You could get a feeling of the field and, the territory, the track where you're at and stuff like that, how the ball plays and stuff. But nothing that you wouldn't do at home. You know what I mean? It's all the same kind of fundamentals you would do on a everyday base.
Thank you.
Next question, Alec White, Arizona Daily Star.
Yeah, Dante, we talked to you last week about this being your first postseason experience. So now that you've made it through the first weekend, how did you handle that and what did you take away from it?
I mean, everything matters. Team at bats, pitching, picking up your teammates and everything like that. So I think at the end of the day, we're playing as one team. I mean, all the individual accolades and everything don't matter up until this point. Every at bat is for the team, every pitch for the team. You got to stay in the moment, and just stay the course. So, if you have the right focus going into a pitch, going into an at bat, nothing else matters. And that's what we strive on teaching. Just stay in the moment, stay present. So that's a great thing that I've learned and the team learned too. So continue to do what we can do.
And from scouting Ole Miss this week, what jumps out to you about maybe their pitching staff?
I mean, they're competitive. SEC arms. It's not going to be easy. So we just got to do what we do, stick to our plan, and stay to our approach. That's it. I mean, that we can't really get outside of ourselves and play different or have a different approach going into this weekend. Just be us and play baseball, have fun.
Next question back to Michael Lev.
Coach Johnson said that you and Kobe are about equal when it comes to working pitchers, going deep into counts, etc. When you see Kobe up at the plate, do you see a lot of similarities to the way that you attack a pitcher?
I don't know. I just think he just amazes me every AB. I don't know. It's something different every AB that comes out, and he shows like the dude is unreal. I always learn something from him, whether it's his approach, his ability to swing at the right pitch, take borderline pitches and stuff like that. But he's a phenomenal player, and I mean he's grown over the last 3 years. I mean, coming in with him, it's just I'm very proud of him and seeing how he's grown offensively, defensively, and I'm just excited for him. He's leading our team, excuse me, and just his competitiveness in every AB on defense, his ability to communicate and stuff like that he has a great tool to be a great player.
Sure. He said that he's never called Garrett Irvin anything other than Gary. Would you agree? Did you guys just start calling him that from day one, or did someone give him that nickname?
I feel like Garrett is just a weird name, so I call him Gary. I've never called him Garrett, so it's scary to me.
What was it like when you were on Twitter on Saturday night and that hashtag was just kind of going crazy?
It was cool. I mean, I saw hashtag Gary everywhere, and I was like, this is an actual thing. So, I mean, we're all hyping Gary up, and he got what he deserved. So, I mean, if you're gonna pitch like that, we're gonna hashtag Gary all over the place.
Sure. And one more for you: is it hard when your pillow when your head hits the pillow at night to not be thinking about Omaha? At this point, is it difficult to sort of realize that there's still a big step to take before you get there?
I mean, I'm sure that's in the back of everybody's head, but at the same time, you got to stay the course. You got to keep your head down, and we're not there yet. So we're not done yet. We're not there yet. So that's how you have to look at this thing. It's one step, one pitch, one ABA at a time. So there's no looking 200 feet in front. It's being in the moment and staying where your feet are, being where your feet are.
Next question, Javier Morales, All Sports Tucson.
Hey, Dante, what's it like playing for Jay Johnson?
It's great. I mean, you have the competitive side of it during games, and sometimes it's he'll bust out a few jokes even when you're in a tight game, and he'll sit up there and ask, "Are you having fun?" I mean, it could be a 5-1 ball game we're losing. Are you having fun? So it's just like it's always keeping the the feelings and stuff loose in the dugout. There could be times where things aren't going well, but it's he has the trust in us, and we have the trust in him that we get it done. So, I mean, it's just he's taught a lot of leadership and being able to move as a team and becoming as one. So, I mean, I feel like that's a great characteristic moving on. I mean, from after playing here, just being a human and having a good personality is just being able to respect people and, great characteristics that we learned here. So I'm forever grateful for him.
So he's more like a mentor, or he talks to you on the level, or how would you describe his coaching style?
Competitor, mentor, doesn't sleep, I guess you could say that. So, I mean, it's just a competitive mentor type coaching style, and, it's fed off on a lot of players and the rest of his coaching staff too.
Thank you.
Are there any more questions for Dante? All right, thank you, everybody. Just a reminder, we'll be back at 4:25 with Ole Miss.